He was one step from becoming a god, until his own disciples drove him into the ground. Now he wakes up inside a stranger's body as the world falls to the dead, and the first face he recognizes belongs to the woman who destroyed him. She smiles. She remembers nothing. The city is gone. Not slowly, just gone. One moment the streets were alive. The next, the dead own everything. Subai opens his eyes in a cramped apartment. He presses a hand to his chest, feels an unfamiliar heartbeat, and says nothing. He has died before. He has come back before. The world he returned to just happens to be on fire this time. A memory surfaces, not from this life. He stood at the edge of godhood. Centuries of cultivation. Power that could bend the sky. Then betrayal came from 3 directions at once. One disciple hit him with a thunder technique that shattered his concentration. Another latched onto him from behind and detonated herself like a weapon. A third struck from the shadows. Before he could answer any of it, he took them all down with him. One final technique, one massive flattening. Then darkness. And now this. But what happens next, nobody in that apartment building could have predicted. Down in the street, the apocalypse is fully operational. Zombies everywhere. Buildings burning. People sprinting in every direction with no plan and no hope. Subai watches it all with the expression of a man reading mildly disappointing news. In his previous life, he led armies. He fought gods. A horde of shambling corpses barely qualifies as a warm-up. Then the system activates. A single item drops into his hand, a worn banner. The 10,000 souls banner. He turns it over, and his face shows exactly what he thinks of it. Back in his old world, he carried artifacts that could split mountains. This thing looks like something a junior cultivator would use as a bookmark. He drops it on the ground. Then, thinking again, picks it back up. Even trash has a use if you hold it correctly. Meanwhile, not far away, a young woman named Lin Wu is running for her life through a ruined side street. She moves faster than the people around her. Cuts corners. Reads the crowd without thinking about it. Most people panic when everything collapses. She adapts. She just does not know why yet. Subai spots her from across the wreckage and stops completely. He knows those movements. He knows that face. He has spent lifetimes studying this woman. First as her master, then as her enemy, then as the man who could never quite decide which she actually was. Lin Wu, the disciple who used a thunder technique to end his ascension. Standing right there in the middle of the apocalypse like the universe has a sense of humor. There is an entire zombie horde between them. He throws his spear straight through it. The weapon cuts the air, punches through the first zombie, and Subai is already moving, leaping after it, catching it mid-flight, driving it through another body on the way down. He lands clean. The crowd barely registers him before he is already on the other side. Lin Wu stares at him. She has never seen this person before in her life, but something about him feels like a memory she cannot reach. She thanks him. He aims the spear directly at her face. He tells her to stop pretending she does not know him. She is genuinely confused, and that throws him completely. He looks harder. The energy pattern, the movement, the way she holds herself, everything matches the disciple who ended him. But her confusion is not a performance. He has spent enough centuries reading people to know the difference. Either she does not remember, or something buried her memories so deep they cannot surface. His stomach growls. She mentions she knows where food is. He weighs his pride against his hunger for exactly 2 seconds. Then he tells her to lead the way. But quietly, in the back of his mind, he makes himself one promise. She is not escaping. Whatever she remembers or does not, she will pay for what she did. He just needs to find the right moment. They reach a market full of supplies, and also full of zombies. One infected near the entrance appears to be advertising a phone SIM card at 50% off, which tells you everything you need to know about this apocalypse. Lin Wu wants to run. Subai wants the supplies. He activates the banner. 2 undead servants rush in. What follows is genuinely tactical, zombie against zombie, with real coordination. One draws attention. The other flanks. A mutant charges and he calls the retreat, regroups, and sends them back in with a better approach. The mutant drops. 5 souls can now be summoned. Before Subai can collect anything, a group of survivors arrives, loudly announcing that everything in this market belongs to them. He listens to the whole speech. Then he asks who, specifically, is going to stop him. Nobody answers, because while they were talking, One of his servants was already standing right behind the loudest one. The confrontation ends fast. Later, the survivors return and find the undead still holding the location. What follows turns dark quickly. By the time it settles, several of them are gone. Subai watches it happen without changing expression. Leaving enemies behind you is how you get stabbed in the back. He learned that lesson once. He will not learn it again. And just when things seem under control, Lin Wu stops walking and tells him she knows where a very powerful creature is hiding. One with a strange aura, different from everything else. He needs exactly that to advance the banner. He already knows she is not lying. He can feel it in the way she says it, the way her body tenses without her realizing. Whatever dormant power is sleeping inside this woman, it is already working, already pointing her toward the things he needs. He tells her to take him there. She smiles, nods. He watches that smile and thinks, she is going to pay for every single thing she did. He is going to make absolutely sure of that. But right now, he needs her alive. The university campus is packed with the dead, and Lin Wu wants to proceed carefully. Our guy charges in without waiting for a vote. He slams the spear into the ground and sends 3 undead servants ahead like a personal cleanup squad. Lin Wu watches them tear through the horde with the expression of someone genuinely questioning every decision that brought her to this moment. Then screaming erupts from the wrong direction. 3 survivors pinned against a wall, one of them losing an axe and promptly getting it stuck in his own shoulder for his trouble. She recognizes them. Classmates. Subai looks at her, looks at the classmates, raises one eyebrow. She grabs his arm. He is so surprised by this that he actually lets her pull him away. Then the classmates spot them and start screaming her name. And suddenly Subai is part of a rescue operation he never agreed to join. He handles it. Not because he cares about the classmates. He does not. He handles it because Lin Wu is spiraling and he needs her focused. The real trouble starts with the survivors they meet inside the building. A group led by a bald man immediately begins circling the supplies she is carrying like they think they are being subtle. The man with glasses tries to keep things polite. The other 2 are doing math. Subai watches all of it with his arms crossed. When the negotiation becomes a demand and the demand becomes a threat, one of his servants is already in the room, standing quietly in the corner. Nobody noticed it arrive. Nobody notices it now until it steps forward. The room goes very quiet. Problem solved. Lin Wu gets furious on his behalf, ready to argue until she collapses. He watches her do this and thinks, she is too soft. In his old world, that kind of softness got people killed. He tells her their arrangement is over. She found her people. He will move on alone. She grabs his arm. She knows where the strong creature is. He already knew she was going to say that. And just when everything seems manageable, a gigantic snake hybrid tears through the building wall. This is not a regular zombie. This thing pulses with actual cultivation energy, the kind that should not exist in a world with no spirit power. Half human, half serpent, fully enormous, and immediately hungry. It grabs a survivor before anyone reacts and swallows them whole. The young teacher in the room tries to negotiate protection in exchange for money. Subai watches the snake swallow a person and wonders if the teacher has ever left a classroom before. He settles in to absorb the spirit stone she handed him earlier, a genuine stone from the immortal realm that somehow ended up in this broken world. The snake recognizes the energy. It abandons the buffet and comes straight for him. Now it is personal. His servants engage. The evolved zombie leaps onto the snake's back and goes for the neck. Full aerial assault, and the snake twists like a corkscrew and flings it away. Then it wraps its tongue around the body and squeezes. I bet you did not see that coming. Meanwhile, a student named Mingguan, who seemed completely normal 30 seconds ago, drives claws through his own friends' chests and turns to face the rest of the class with his tongue hanging out. He converted. He is the snake's puppet now. He tears through everyone in the room. The teacher steps in front of a student to protect them and gets grabbed by the throat. Subai pulls the puppet off her. Then he looks at the chaos, the snake, the students, the puppet, everything, and unleashes the full banner. Chains everywhere. Servants multiplying. The puppet gets buried under coordinated strikes from 3 directions simultaneously. Then the snake tries to run. It transforms to a smaller form, puts distance between itself and the building, and allows itself one moment of relief. It survived a cultivator. It got away clean. Subai appears next to it. It has no idea how his perception is sharp enough to track it. It tries to ask, and he answers by ordering his servants to pin it. Stone spikes through all 4 limbs. Chains from the banner wrapping around its energy. The snake screams, tries shadow clones, tries brute force, tries a swarm of illusions. Every counter gets dismantled in sequence. Subai identifies the real body among the fakes, destroys the rest, and begins the capture. The snake, pinned and bleeding, tells him it will take them both down together. He tells it to stop making noise. It tries self-destruction. He activates a divine image, an echo of his old power, just enough to overwhelm the snake's will completely. The creature recognizes what it is facing. Something ancient. Something it has absolutely no business challenging. It tries to beg. Too late. Banner reaches level 3. 10 beasts under control. The spear evolves. And our guy is standing there with one hand in his pocket, looking at his upgraded weapon like it is a mildly interesting new menu item. That is his version of celebration. Back inside, somewhere behind the walls, one of Subai's traitorous disciples from the previous life is watching footage of the divine image with cold eyes. He does not know who else survived. He does not care. He begins a ritual over a fallen body, cuts his hand, and bleeds onto the corpse. He is building towards something. And whatever it is pointed directly at Subai. The teacher wants her father back. She has one piece of information Subai needs, where the spirit stones come from. That information comes with a condition attached. Save her father. Then she talks. He looks at her for a long moment. She is clearly intelligent enough to know exactly what leverage she has. He is smart enough to admit the leverage is real. Fine. He agrees. But he says it plainly. If she is lying, every person connected to her father stops breathing. No exceptions. She nods so fast he is certain she believed him immediately. Before they leave, Subai activates the banner one final time inside the campus. Every soul that fell in the fight, absorbed. Every body, converted. Nothing wasted. The remaining students stare at him with wide eyes. The teacher flinches. Lin Wu is the only one who does not look afraid. That keeps happening. He still has not decided how to feel about it. They move through ruined streets toward the last known location of the teacher's father. Then something unusual happens mid-journey. Subai reaches into his sea of consciousness, the internal space where the echoes of his previous cultivation still sleep, and pulls out a sword. Old. Familiar. A blade from before. Lin Wu stops walking the moment she sees it. Her reaction is not alarm. It is something quieter. The expression of someone hearing a melody from their childhood, but unable to remember the words that go with it. Subai watches her carefully. He knows what that reaction means. He gives her the sword. She reaches for it. And the moment her fingers touch the handle, something inside her unlocks. A cascade of memory. A training ground. A master she followed with complete devotion. A betrayal she carried out with her own hands. She screams, calls him master, then collapses immediately after. He catches her, releases the snake to contain her while he checks what actually happened. He activates Soul Search and digs through her memory. He finds nothing from the past. Only this world. Only the apocalypse. She lost them again. The memories surfaced for 1 second and sank. Whatever is blocking her connection to the past is deep, too deep to fake. He releases the snake. Watches her lying there, genuinely terrified, trying to explain to herself why she just called a stranger by a title she does not understand. He makes his decision. She stays alive until he figures this out. Not because he forgives her. Not even close. But killing someone who does not know what they did is not revenge. It is just cruelty. And whatever else he has standards. The sword cracks and falls apart in her hands. He tells her to keep moving. At the collapsed ruins where the teacher's father was last reported, Subai can feel spirit energy pulsing beneath the rubble, faint but real. The cops guarding the perimeter try to stop them. He walks past them without slowing. One of them asks if he is an awakened. He asks what an awakened is. The cop stares at him like he just asked what gravity is. Before anyone can explain, a wall collapses. More infected pour through. The cops open fire. Subai sends his creatures forward. The snake starts breathing fire on the zombies, which the soldiers find extremely alarming but are in no position to complain about. And then everything stops. A figure drops from the sky between Subai and the nearest soldier. Ancient looking. Enormous. Dressed in something between samurai armor and nightmare. A commander-level creature, ranked above anything he has faced so far. It points a weapon at him and summons its own undead army. Subai stares at it, calculates, then smiles. Every one of those undead goes straight into the banner. Every soul feeds the weapon. Every kill adds to his control. This creature just walked into the most dangerous room it has ever been in, and it has absolutely no idea. The evolved servant goes in first. Hits hard, gets knocked back, goes in again. The knight is powerful, tactical, and genuinely difficult to damage. It identifies Subai as the controller and targets him directly. He does not panic. He pulls the old sword and blocks. The divine artifact in the hilt recognizes the fight and responds. A flash of power. The knight staggers. Subai activates the phoenix cry. A bird of pure cultivated energy tears out of the blade and drives through the knight's chest. The commander-level creature drops. The banner captures it. The staff registers the kill and levels up. And then, the skeleton inside the staff speaks. Its spirit transferred into the weapon when it fell, and it is now offering its power freely in exchange for a chance to reach the peak again. Our guy accepts. He takes the stone from the teacher's pocket, hands it to Lin Wu, and says, "Focus." She closes her eyes, points east. 30 kilometers. He nods. That is where they are going. The teacher says she needs to stay behind to look after her father. A new presence stops him before he leaves. A young woman who moved through the entire fight like she was taking a stroll, carrying a staff and absolutely no visible concern. She looks at his weapons, asks to hold one. He shrugs and hands her the spear. The energy inside it repels her absorption ability so hard she nearly drops it. She tries the sword. The phoenix almost knocks her off her feet. She hands both back. Then she says, "Fine." She joins them. Any weapons they find out there. She picks first. He nods. And somewhere on a mountain far from all of this, a figure in shadows receives a single message. Kill him. Yangshi City is not a city anymore. It is a graveyard wearing a city's skin. The creature density is beyond anything they have encountered so far. Commander-level monsters on every block. The energy in the air is thick enough to almost see. Subai takes one look at it and decides this is perfect. He sends the servants into farm. The skeleton tears through everything. The evolved mosquito, now at boss level, sweeps entire streets on its own. The bird disrupts and stuns from above. Steel arm punches through walls. The banner feeds on every kill. Level 7 unlocks a refinement ability, soul energy compressed and redistributed to every servant and ally simultaneously. Everyone in Subai's circle gets stronger just by being near him. The mosquito, floating inside the staff, informs the others that staying close to this guy is the fastest evolution any of them has ever experienced. None of them disagree. But Yangshi is not just full of weak creatures. A giant tentacle creature controls one district. A mantis, enormous, territorial, and visibly annoyed, controls another. Both of them want Subai dead. Both of them hate each other more than they hate Subai. He watches them fight from a safe distance, waits for them to drain each other, and then steps forward when there is nothing left but two damaged commanders bleeding in the street. He says, his turn. The tentacle tries to run. He rides the bone bird into the air, draws the god-slaying cutter, the blade that attacks spirit rather than body, and cuts it from above. The tentacle dissolves. The mantis tries to escape through the rubble. Subai senses it hiding behind a collapsed building and puts a sword through the wall without turning around. The mantis drops. Two commander-level creatures. One fight. Both absorbed. And just when it seems like the day cannot produce anything more, the banner reaches level 8. He can now borrow any servant's ability once per day. Below them, in tunnels under the city, hundreds of survivors who have been living underground for weeks start crying when they realize the streets above have gone quiet for the first time since the apocalypse began. A boy climbs up to check. He finds Subai standing in the ruins with a smoking sword and an army of creatures kneeling behind him. Can you imagine what that boy is feeling right now? He gives Subai a map, every known commander location in the city, hand-drawn by people who spent weeks documenting from hiding. Subai places a hand on the boy's head, tells him, potential like this does not go unnoticed. An opportunity will find you. The monkey spirit inside the staff watches this and goes quiet. The technique, the words, the exact phrasing. He has heard all of it before, from a master in a different era, in a different world. He is not ready to say what he thinks it means. But he is paying attention now. Our guy sends his servants out with the map, the farming resumes. Every commander falls. Every soul feeds the banner. When it finally reaches level 9, the strengthening ability expands to include allies outside the staff, and the servant communication channel becomes completely private. He has built something real here. An army, a network, a system that compounds with every fight. And somewhere in the mountains nearby, one of the disciples who destroyed him in the last life, Yun Bin, stands at a cliff top and feels a disaster-level creature's energy vanish from his perception. He was watching that creature. He was counting on it. He stares at the empty signal in his tracker and says nothing for a long time. Then he adjusts. He always adjusts. And the plan he builds next, the one aimed directly at Subai, is going to be harder to counter than anything that has come before. The Valley of Blades is exactly as welcoming as it sounds. Red stone, cracked ground, broken weapons half buried in every direction, like the valley itself was the site of something that went very badly for everyone involved. The energy here is dense, old and compressed, and not entirely friendly. Subai moves through it with the weapon absorber keeping pace beside him, growing stronger with every fragment she passes. He is looking for Qing Xuan, the disciple who was gentle, the one he trusted most out of all of them. Then the eagle hits them from above without warning and nearly ends the conversation early. Subai sends the mosquito tracking it back to its source, and within minutes they find the origin. A young man with a spear custom-built around his combat style, and the absolute confidence of someone who has never encountered a problem he could not physically dismantle. The Spear King. He runs the eastern region like a warlord, and every commander creature that challenged him is dead. He looks at the undead servants and calls their loyalty a curse. He looks at the banner and calls it a demon's tool. Then he attacks, and the fight that follows is one of the best this story has produced. He is fast, genuinely fast. He dismantles the bird in 3 moves, cracks the skeleton's defense, and is everywhere at once through pure technical superiority. Even the weapon absorber takes a hit she was not ready for. He is not someone that intimidation alone can handle. Subai watches, tracks processes. Then he steps forward. He blocks the Spear King's best attack, does not counter, just blocks, and begins explaining, calmly, that the man's energy is too volatile. The way he is channeling power is building toward a deviation that will tear him apart from the inside within days. The Spear King tells him to stop talking. Subai fights him for exactly as long as it takes to demonstrate the point. He pulls the spear from the man's hands, snaps the tip, and hands it back. The Spear King collapses, not from the strike, but from the deviation hitting him the exact moment the technique breaks down. Subai gives him a calming mantra tied to a ribbon. 3 hours of meditation. Then he walks away. But what happens next? Nobody could have scripted this. A boy from Yangshi City shows up and tells the Spear King exactly who that person was. He even draws Subai's face in the dirt. The Spear King stares at that drawing for a long, uncomfortable moment and realizes he just called his city's hero a demonic cultivator. He is not taking that well. Meanwhile, high above the valley, the flame-headed puppet that Yun Bin rebuilt from salvaged creature energy comes screaming down from the sky. Yun Bin sends it with everything he has prepared, every technique he reverse-engineered from watching Subai's fights, and then sends Qing Xuan in first to open the engagement. She fires coins like bullets. Fast, precise, unpredictable trajectory. Subai dodges the first wave, reads the second. By the third, he has stopped caring about the coins entirely and started caring about what is behind her. A spirit spring, old, deep, dense with energy that has been sitting undisturbed for years. He throws the sword into the water. The phoenix inside the blade absorbs the concentrated energy of the spring and materializes. Not an echo this time, not an afterimage. A real, living, burning phoenix erupting from the water and screaming across the sky. Qing Xuan freezes. Yun Bin, watching through his puppet, freezes. They run. They are smart enough to know what they cannot survive. Yun Bin takes a backlash hit as his technique gets disrupted mid-activation. He is going to be recovering for days. The disciples disappear into the mountains and Subai watches them go, thinking, next time, neither of them gets to run. Banner level 9. Strengthening extends to allies. Encrypted servant communication. The weapon absorber gets a direct energy transfer that nearly drops her on the spot and makes her question several life choices. And then Subai walks into the spring. Everyone gets in. The water advances everyone. The mosquito breaks through to a new tier. The skeleton gains new defenses. And Lin Wu, submerged to her shoulders, not fully understanding why she is here, but trusting that she should be, starts remembering things. Not quickly, not cleanly. Fragments. A training ground. A voice. The moment she decided to stop someone she should have protected. She stands up slowly, looks at Subai, and says the word she has been unable to explain since the moment they met. Master. Then something in her mind slams shut again, and she collapses into the water. The spirit cave outside Fangzhou City has already eaten one team. The group that entered before them, 5 members of an organized sect, went in and never came out. Creatures came out instead, larger than before, charged with absorbed energy. The sect had been managing this by sending creatures in to farm the energy and then killing the creatures outside. A slow, ugly workaround that was working until it stopped working completely. Subai walks past all of this information and goes straight in. Inside, firestones embedded in every wall. Any standard spiritual technique triggers an explosion on contact. Every attack echoes in the wrong direction. Every misstep costs double. He moves carefully, sends the servants ahead, and within minutes they find what the sect could not. A false wall maintained through illusion, behind which 2 very familiar people are sitting in a private spring, absorbing everything around them. Yun Bin's junior disciples. Rested, stronger, ready. The coin barges come first. Then the mud technique. The boy dissolving through the floor and reforming at range, again and again, impossible to pin through conventional means. Together they fight with real precision, and they have answers ready for half of what Subai's servants throw at them. He watches the patterns, lets the servants absorb the pressure. Then he throws the sword into the spring. The phoenix tears out of the water and fills the cave with light and heat that melts spirit barriers on contact. The disciples do not need to be told what that means. They run, clean, fast, without hesitation. The coin girl watches her partner vanish through the floor and follows in the same instant. Subai does not chase. He walks into the spring, finds a passage at the bottom. A crystal-lined tunnel so dense with raw energy it is almost poisonous. His resistance gives him roughly 2 hours before his body starts protesting. He activates the servant network and sends everyone in. The kills come in waves. The banner climbs. Level 10 unlocks instant summoning of 100 spirits. And then the giant comes. It fills the entire tunnel, a convergence creature, built from weeks of absorbed kills, pulsing with the stored energy of everything that has died in this cave. It is not a regular monster. It is a verdict. The servants throw everything they have, and it barely slows down. After a brutal exchange that damages half the team and gets the bird knocked into a wall, Subai makes the call. Partial soul capture, stored in the staff, exit now. They surface. Later, following the cave system deeper, they find something that has nothing to do with natural creatures. A cult. An actual underground ritual site. Black robes, goblins in ceremony, humans strung from the ceiling, and a white-haired man on a throne in the back who says Subai's name before anyone introduces themselves. The cult master. He knows about Yun Bin. He knows about the betrayal at the moment of ascension. He says all of this with the ease of someone who has been watching for a long time. He has 4 spiritual veins. His body is a composite of every technique he has ever absorbed. He is not an opponent. He is a library, and the library wants to add Subai's entries to the collection. The goblins swarm. The servants engage. The bird screams. The mosquito locks. The skeleton anchors. And the cult master counters everything using each ability back at them with twice the force the moment he sees it. The bird's sonar, redirected. The mosquito's seal, disabled remotely. The skeleton's chains, read before they land. Purple fog fills the room. Failed transformation spirits pour out of the walls. Incomplete creatures, directionless and hungry. All of them sent at Subai simultaneously. He has had enough of this. The banner erupts at full capacity. Chains blast outward from every angle. The incomplete spirits get caught in a forced loop, attacking each other, unable to break through, tearing themselves apart in seconds. Then Subai advances on the cult master directly. Blue flame from the blade. Wind technique to cancel the sound attacks. The bird from above. Steel arm from below. The mosquito locking every movement option one by one. And Subai moving through every gap with the patience of someone who has survived 100 fights worse than this. The cult master's 4 veins are his advantage and his weakness. Too many inputs. Too many things to coordinate simultaneously. The moment Subai identifies the switching delay, the fraction of a second between veins, he puts a sword through the gap and ends it. The banner absorbs the soul. The staff levels up. Silence. The captured woman who was brought along as a guide looks at the ritual altar still burning in the back of the cave. She says quietly that it looks like a seal-breaking formation. The spirit inside the staff goes very still. Something about that altar is familiar. Something about the energy pattern is exactly what would be needed to free a sealed consciousness from an external container. Subai looks at the altar, looks at the staff, looks at the altar again. He puts it out. Outside the cave, the mountains are quiet and the sky is the color of something about to happen. Subai takes stock. His servants are stronger than they have ever been. The banner is at a level that would have sounded like a lie at the start of this journey. His enemies are scattered, weakened, and losing. But they are not finished. Yunbin watched the cult master fall through a relay connection. He felt the backlash when the ritual broke. He absorbed the lesson and immediately started building the next move. He does not learn by stopping. He learns by escalating. The puppet with the flame-headed body, the one Subai thought was gone, has been rebuilt. More power. More targeting data. One goal. Destroy Subai before he advances another level. Meanwhile, Lin Wu is walking through the ruins of a different district with Yu Yu beside her. She is getting her memories back. Not cleanly, in pieces. A flash of a training ground. A fragment of a technique she has never practiced in this life, but executes perfectly in her sleep. The sound of a voice she cannot attach to a face. The pieces are accumulating and she cannot stop them. Every time her innate ability activates, the tracking gift that senses spiritual energy and follows it, something in the buried part of her mind wakes up a little more. Yu Yu notices the change. Does not know what it means. Just knows that Wanku is looking at everything differently. Like she is seeing the same world through 2 pairs of eyes at once. And then, the puppet arrives. It drops out of the sky with everything Yunbin built into it. Every technique drawn from watching Subai fight. Every counter tuned to his specific patterns. It tears through the servants. The bird goes down. Steel arm gets embedded in a wall. The mosquito's seal gets bypassed by a move it has never seen before. Subai stands in the middle of the chaos and thinks, Yunbin is smarter than the others. He always was. That is what made him the most dangerous one. And it is what makes him the most dangerous now. He sends one encrypted message through the servant network. Tells the skeleton exactly where to be and when. Then he advances toward the puppet himself, drawing it forward, letting it believe the fight is going its way. The puppet commits to the kill shot. The skeleton rises from directly below and drives a spike through its core. It drops. Yunbin, connected through the control technique, takes the full feedback across kilometers of distance. He screams. The energy backlash forces him out of his prepared position, and the moment he moves, Subai uses the banner's level 8 ability, borrowing the mosquito's spatial jump for 1 instant. He appears next to Yunbin on the mountain. Yunbin tries to negotiate, tries body transfer, dissolving into the ground, reforming 30 meters away. Subai is already there. A blade comes down. Yunbin blocks by a margin that qualifies as luck. He activates the Golden Fortress, calls ancient beast spirits, prepares a full counter-assault. Qing Xuan, watching from a distance, does not move. She watches the way Subai moves. The patience in it, the precision, and something in the part of her that spent years training under a master who was cold and demanding and never once dishonest makes her hesitate. Yunbin is alone when the god-slaying blade cuts through his fortress. He scatters, reforms further away, damaged, diminished. He looks at Subai across the gap and, for the first time in this life, does not look like a man who has a plan. He looks like a man beginning to understand the distance between them. He runs. Subai, for once, lets him. Not out of mercy, out of strategy. Yunbin running means mistakes are coming. And when the next mistake arrives, Subai will already be positioned for it. Meanwhile, Linwu reaches the spirit cave near Fangzhou City. She stands at the entrance and feels the energy pouring out, dense, ancient, familiar in a way that has nothing to do with this life. Yu Yu is behind her. The others are further back. And Lin Wu is at the edge of something she cannot name, but cannot stop. The memories arrive all at once. The wave hits her like a physical force. She grabs the wall. Yu Yu catches her. And for a long, terrible moment, Lin Wu just breathes, processing every memory from before. Every choice she made. Every justification she built around those choices to make them feel necessary. And then the cold, clear realization settles in. None of it was necessary. Yinbin told her the ascension was a threat, that the master had to be stopped, that she was the only one who could do it. She believed him completely. She drove her thunder technique into the back of the person who built everything she was. She told herself it was right. She was wrong. The truth hits her like a blade to the chest. For a long moment, she just stands there. Then slowly, the pain turns into something harder, something colder, something that moves. She steps into the cave. Elsewhere, Subai is sitting at the valley's edge, looking at the banner in his palm. He thinks about the boy who gave him a map, the teacher who bargained with her only leverage, Lin Wu standing in front of strangers who wanted to take everything from him. He thinks about his disciples in the last life, how he chose them, what he valued in them, what he missed. He made a mistake, not the kind that needs a speech, the quiet kind, the acknowledgement, alone in the dark, that the man he was before earned some of what came to him. The banner glows in his palm. Level 10. An army. A network. Enough cultivation to face anything in this shattered world and most things beyond it. He stands up. There is more ahead. More disciples who remember and disciples who do not. More stones. More creatures. More fights that will push every limit he has left. He is not going to walk into any of it out of kindness, but he is going to walk into it. And just when the path forward seems clear, a presence enters his perception. Enormous. Still, patient in the way that only very old things are patient. It is not a creature and it is not a disciple. It is something from before, something that recognizes the God-slaying blade because it was present when that blade was first named. It has been watching this entire journey from a distance, waiting to see what kind of man survived. It has made its decision. Subai looks up at the empty sky, and he smiles. If this hit different, drop a like and tell us in the comments. Which disciple do you think remembers next? Subscribe so you never miss what comes.